After a brutal start to this homestand, the Mariners pick up a pair of wins and their third consecutive series victory in less than 24 hours. We're going to be talking about it all, as well as Seattle's need for an outfielder in the wake of Taylor Trammell's injury, here on the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Locked On Mariners podcast, brought to you by the Sports Card Investor app. Welcome to the world of trading cards reimagined. Stay tuned later on in the show for more information on this awesome new tool for collectors. You'll want to check out the Sports Card Investor app. It is Wednesday, June 29th, 2022, and thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all platforms. I am your host, Ty Gonzalez, joined as always by my co-host Colby Patnode. We cover the Mariners over at InsideTheMariners.com for Fan Nation over on the Sports Illustrated Network. Be sure to follow the show on Twitter at LO_Mariners. Follow Inside the Mariners at Inside Mariners. You can follow me at Dane Gonzalez, that's DaneGnzlz, and Colby at CPAT11, that's CPAT11. Be sure to also check out our Patreon over at patreon.com/control-the-zone. We post 2 additional podcasts on there every single week. And if this is your first time joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast, welcome to the show. If you like what you hear, give us a follow or subscribe wherever you're listening to this. And if you're watching us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. The Mariners have won another series. Look at that. And they have clinched a winning month of June. They win 9-3 on Wednesday afternoon. Yes, they actually scored runs in a Wednesday afternoon game. Can you believe it? They did it. They did a lot of scoring today. They dropped 3 in the second inning and then exploded for 6 in the fourth, including an absolute bomb from Julio Rodriguez that went into the second deck. Colby, is Julio cementing himself as the repeat AL Rookie of the Month winner?
Certainly seems likely, especially with kind of a lack of competition from the other rookies. Pena missed most of the month, so that was obviously going to be helpful to Julio. But he's had a very solid month. I was just looking at the numbers this morning, actually, and it's definitely not been as good as May, but it's still been very good. To the tune of, it's a little bit different. Last month, Julio really hit for a ton of average. This month, he's hitting about 270, which is still plenty of average, but he's walking a lot more, so his on-base percentage actually is higher this month than it was last month. You add it all together, his WR, not including today's game, was just 3% lower in the month of June than it was May. He's hit 6 home runs in the last 3 weeks, basically. And he's got an outside shot to be at 2020, by the All-Star break, which is impressive no matter who you are, but it seems, more impressive when it's coming from a 21-year-old. So he's got a good shot at it, I would say. We'll see how it goes. It ultimately doesn't really matter that much in the grand scheme of things. No, but would it be cool for him to have it? Does he deserve it? Yeah. And obviously, if you can start stacking up these Rookie of the Month awards, honors, really, then the big prize, the American League Rookie of the Year prize, is certainly right around the corner. So Julio's looking great, and he's doing a little bit of everything for Seattle right now to help them win.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes with, Adley Rutschman's had a pretty good month of June. Bobby Witt Jr.'s had a pretty good month of June, so those guys might be in the mix there as well. But yeah, like you said, if he keeps on rattling off these AL Rookie of the Month honors, pretty good shot he's going to end up being the Rookie of the Year in the American League, which, by the way, you should care about if you're a Mariners fan, aside from just being a Julio fan, aside from just rooting for Julio himself. The Mariners would also get a draft pick out of that, what we believe to be a 3rd-round draft pick, if he wins the AL Rookie of the Year. So
possibly more. There's some language that's a little weird, but there is some thought that it could be up to 3 picks.
Wow.
The first of which would just be after the compensatory rounds. It doesn't specify compensatory round A or B. We're assuming B. because after compensatory round A is the top 40 pick.
Yeah.
It seems high, but maybe that's the case.
Yeah, maybe that's the case. But yeah, because the Mariners added him to the major league roster right out of the gate, didn't service time him. They are eligible for draft pick compensation if he ends up winning AL Rookie of the Year. Pretty cool stuff. So Sam Haggerty was the other really big story in this game. Honestly, the entire bottom of the order for the Mariners was a pretty big story. They go, let's see here. They went they had 11 at bats and they got 6 hits. So they went 6 for 11. The 7, 8, 9 hitters. That's Abraham Toro, Adam Frazier, and Sam Haggerty. And Haggerty goes 3 for 3 in his first game since being called back up. He had a couple doubles in this game too. Dude was it's good day for Sam Haggerty. He's when he's played this year, I know he's not exciting when you look at him. He doesn't have a particular tool that stands out, but he helps defensively, and he's hitting a little bit right now. I feel like, considering what else you have on the roster, who else is getting at bats on the roster right now, Sam Haggerty should probably be playing every day, right?
I mean, probably not every day, but yeah, there's not a ton of options out there, especially with the loss of Taylor Trammell, unfortunately. It's, we're talking about a bench that most days is going to include Andrew Knapp and Dylan Moore, Abraham Toro, and Marcus Wilson, I guess now. Mm-hmm. So kind of need somebody to step up big. And today Toro also had 2 doubles. Toros were a little more traditional, I would say. Mm-hmm. But it's just good to see him, hit with some authority. Haggerty is a guy who does a lot of things well for you. He's got a pretty good swing against righties. It's a line drive approach from both sides, obviously plus speed. Saw that on the bunt single, and just kind of a weird circus of moments for the Baltimore Orioles in the second inning there. Was it the fourth? They kind of run together, but he does a lot of things well. He puts the ball in play. He runs very well. He's a pretty good defender. He can play just about anywhere, at least, competently. You don't love him at shortstop, but, you don't love Dylan Moore at shortstop either. You just kind of get away with it for a little while. So, he's going to start to play a lot because we know that the Jesse Winker suspension is coming, and we know the J.P. Crawford suspension is coming. And it sure seems likely that the Mariners would opt to stagger those. Yeah. So there's a good shot Haggerty's up for a couple weeks, and he's going to get a shot because, like you said, I mean, we're talking about, is it really that bad to bench Adam Frazier or Abraham Toro or Dylan Moore in favor of Sam Haggerty? No,
or even Justin Upton.
Right. He might be better than all those guys. He's definitely better than a couple of them. So, he does a lot, Ham Swaggerty brings something to the table. He's a really good guy to have in your organization. And, hopefully he gets a little bit of a run here. I mean,
they probably shouldn't have sent him down when they did. I think he absolutely should have stayed up, especially when they ended up bringing Drew Ellis and Kevin Padlow after he was sent down. That Sam Haggerty just makes more sense for this roster at this point. And look, he's a guy that puts the ball in play, like you said. He makes a lot of contact. That helps. Been quite a few strikeouts, especially in some big spots. We saw that in on Monday night's game as well. Just got opportunities and you're just basically throwing them away. And because you just can't make contact in key moments. And so, Haggerty helps with that. Lastly, before we go on to our next segment, I want to talk about Ken Giles here because he showed up in this game. It was garbage time. It was 9-3. Game was pretty much in hand for the Mariners. But he looked good. Slider heavy again, which is interesting. He's been, he historically has mixed in the fastball and the slider pretty equally, but so far since he's been up with the Mariners, it's been mostly slider with the fastball mixed in about a third of the time. And so it was pretty much, that's what the case was today. 10 sliders, 3 whiffs on the sliders, on the slider as well. And he had 2 strikeouts in this game. He did have a walk, but Giles has looked solid. What have you seen from him over his first few opportunities?
kind of what you expect from a guy coming off of Tommy John. It's the stuff looks okay, certainly good enough. The command and control, it's a little up in the air from pitch to pitch, even. So, yeah, I mean, it's to me, it looks exactly like I would expect from a guy coming off of Tommy John. He's going to have some blow up outings. That's just going to happen for him. But it's not going to be because of the stuff. It's going to be because he falls behind and he feels like he has to groove a fastball because he doesn't have a good feel for his slider. Like that's what's going to happen to Ken Giles. But stuff wise looks pretty good. Threw a couple really filthy sliders today. I think he had 3 whiffs on 6 swings on that pitch, and the fastball velocity is fine right now. It's 94, 95. Again, walks are a little elevated right now. That's totally expected. But the stuff is good, and you hope that somewhere along the line, you're using non-blowout situations where he can actually get you a big out in the 7th or 8th inning. And the stuff wise, he can do that right now. It's just a matter of hammering out the control and command issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that would be a big help for this Mariners bullpen if he's actually going to be useful. And it's honestly pretty surprising that he has been as effective as he's been thus far, because the rehab assignment that he went on, both between high A and triple A, it was awful. He looked really, really bad. So maybe that was just a matter of him just working on some things and him unfortunately paying the price on a couple of bad pitches while working on some things down there. But so far so good for Ken Giles, and that would certainly help if he can actually contribute pretty consistently. We're going to be talking about Robbie Ray, who provided a lot of fun last night in the Mariners' first win of this series. In just a moment. But real quick, a reminder, this episode of Locked On Mariners is brought to you by the Sports Card Investor app. Now, Colby and I have run a few card giveaways in the past, and they've always done pretty well, so I assume we have quite a few investors and casual card collectors tuning into us right now. And we have a great new app to tell you about, the Sports Card Investor app. It is a one-stop shop for all your card collecting needs. You can check the market activity and trends for over 630,000 cards, see all the eBay listings, and make purchases right through the app. And with Julio Rodriguez adding to his AL Rookie of the Month bid with another home run today, let's just say his cards have gone up even more. How much so? Well, you should download the Sports Card Investor app right now on your mobile device to find out. It's available for free on the Google Play and Apple App Stores, or you can go to sportscardinvestor.com/locked on. You're listening to Locked On Mariners. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day, just like you do here every day. The Mariners won a tight game last night. It took them all the way into the bottom of the 8th before they could actually get on the scoreboard. They win 2-0. They shut out the Orioles, and thanks in large part to Robbie Ray, who had one of his best starts of the year. He was fantastic. He went back to the sinker quite a bit, the 2-seam fastball quite a bit. He generated 8 whiffs on that pitch, 6 whiffs on the slider, 3 whiffs on the 4-seam fastball, 32.3% called strike plus whiff rate on the slider and sinker combined. We also saw the knuckle curve 3 times again in this start. So he's using a little bit of everything, and it's really working for him. He's keeping the ball on the ground. He's generating a lot of weak contact. He only gave up 2 hard hit balls in this game. He did walk 3, and there were some arm side misses. He wasn't perfect by any means, but Colby, I don't know. I know the opponent quality hasn't been great over his last 4 starts. I mean, he did pretty well against the Red Sox, but aside from that, when he pitched against the Angels, there was no Ohtani, there was no Jared Walsh, and then the other 2 starts have been against the A's and now the Orioles. And the Orioles, of course, have some talent, but it's not a great lineup. But I don't know, man. I'm kind of feeling like Robbie Ray might be back. What do you think?
I don't know if he's back in the sense that he's the same as he was last year. He's
Sure.
Still not striking out near the number of guys, and the xFIP is a little bit higher and all that. So he's not as good as he was last year, but I think we all knew that was going to be the case. At least any reasonable person knew that was highly unlikely to happen. But yeah, he looks a lot like the guy he was in 2017 when he was a 4-win pitcher. Stuff may look a little bit different, but overall the results are fine. And, over his last 4 starts, he's not only has he, only given up, I believe, 2 earned runs. Not only is he averaging more than a strikeout per inning, he's going deep in all of those starts. He's going 7 innings consistently. He's one of the leaders in innings pitched this year. And that's huge when you consider just how often the Mariners fail to get deep into games. I mean, we've seen Kirby only be able to go 5 a few times. Flexen seems to go 5 1/3 every single time out. Marco has struggled to get some distance. So really Gilbert has had to carry the load because, if Gilbert doesn't, then the bullpen has to carry it. And we know the Mariners bullpen isn't deep, not as deep as it was last year. So it's extremely hard for them to shoulder that load. So more than anything, it's Robbie Ray, not only pitching extremely well, but doing it while eating up a ton of innings. He's number 2 in baseball in innings pitched in the American League. And that is a huge factor. He's up to a win now in WAR. He was at 0.1 about a month ago. So he's been great and in a lot of ways and maybe saving the 2022 season for the Seattle Mariners. He's got some help, certainly. Julio is certainly doing his part. Jesse Winker, a really good month but last night the Mariners needed Robbie Ray to be, look like a Cy Young winner. They needed it because the offense was just getting shut down for the 3rd game in a row. They had just kind of kicked the ball around the night before. They looked disinterested. They looked disheveled. The whole hangover from the brawl thing, there was a very real chance that last night could have slipped away had Ray not been as good as he was. And all of a sudden the Mariners have dropped a series. They've lost 3 in a row. Oh my God, they're giving back what they gained over the weekend, blah, blah, blah. And you just kind of start to travel down that path. But Robbie Ray was great. I mean, he almost threw another no-hitter. I mean, it wasn't as dominant as his start against the Angels. But he very nearly threw a no-hitter. The Baltimore Orioles literally had 1 hit, walked 3 times. So it's a little bit of hyperbole to say it, but I do feel a certain, I think you can make a case that last night, Robbie Ray and Jesse Winker saved the Mariners season, at least for now. They could always fall apart later, but that's a huge win. You saw the emotion in the ballpark. There was some good electricity in the ballpark, despite only being 16,000 people. Winker's double, which doesn't happen without some really weird choices made by the first baseman last night. I believe that was
Mountcastle.
Yeah, some weird choices that he made on the Julio base hit, but hey, 2 weird choices he made.
Yes,
maybe even 3, but the Mariners finally took advantage of the other team's mistake. It was kind of the first time the Orioles had shown any flaws, because the Mariners did have several hard hit balls and the Orioles were catching everything.
Yeah. And
then all of a sudden they make one mistake and Jesse Winker makes them pay for it. Barely. The next thing you know, it's Paul Sewell goes out there. He dominates his inning and the Mariners win 2-0. And next thing you know, they have some momentum and they win today. And look at that, a series win that you needed to have, which was very much in doubt after the first 16 innings of the series that have been played so far.
Yeah, the offense looked dreadful again through the first 7 innings of that game, and then just being able to put together what they were able to do in the bottom of the 8th, and then Winker capping it all off, and Winker again today with 3 hits. So he's really starting to get it together here, and the suspension couldn't come at a worse possible time for him. So hopefully he's able to pick up where he's left off whenever he ends up starting to serve that suspension, and we'll see how long it ends up being. For now, it's 7 games, but he is appealing, so we'll see if that gets reduced to maybe 5. That would certainly help the Mariners to be without him for as little time as possible. But yeah, Robbie Ray has been fantastic over his last few starts. Over the last 29 1/3 innings pitched for Robbie Ray, he's only given up 2 runs. That's and that goes back to the Astros start, which was a disaster for him through the first 2 innings of that game. But then the final 3 innings, he didn't give up a run. It still wasn't pretty for him, but he started using that two-seam fastball, and he's been using it ever since, and it's been a great weapon for him. And he's mixing in a curveball here and there a few times, and that's kind of interesting. That's just a little wrinkle that he's thrown into his game, and it's been really fun to watch him work on some things and kind of figure out, a new way to approach things. He's kind of reinventing himself here in the month of June, and implementing things that he has used in the past, things that he has utilized and had success with in the past, but some things that he's kind of gotten away from over the last couple of years as well. This is a different Robbie Ray than the one that we saw last year that won the American League Cy Young Award. But honestly, this one might even be more conducive to success than that version of Robbie Ray. He's not going to get the accolades and all that stuff, and the numbers might be a little more skewed, but right now, just him being able to keep the ball on the ground is huge. He hasn't given up a home run in his last 4 starts. He was second in baseball in home runs given up before that. So that's massive. That he's turned everything around here. And again, 2 hard hit balls in this whole game. That's ridiculous. Doesn't matter who you're pitching against. That's incredible. That's absolutely, as the kids say, going to play. So unfortunately, the Mariners got some bad injury news. Again, the injury bug continues to bite them. Last night, Taylor Trammell re-aggravated the hamstring that he injured to start this year in Tacoma. He's now on the 10-day IL, and we don't know when he's going to be able to return. And the Mariners, quite frankly, they didn't call up Jared Kelenic today. They ended up activating Marcus Wilson, who, by the way, congrats to Marcus Wilson on a walk in his first Major League at-bat. Very cool stuff. But the Mariners, no offense to Marcus Wilson, need better than Marcus Wilson in the outfield if they're going to compete here in the next couple weeks in order to basically save their season. So we'll be talking about that in just a moment. But real quick, a reminder, this episode of Locked On Mariners is brought to you by Blue Nile. Whether you're ready to pop the question or you're celebrating a milestone moment, find jewelry as unique as them with the modern convenience of online shopping at BlueNile.com. Blue Nile has simple online tools that let you choose the diamond shape, size, and clarity, as well as setting style. And Blue Nile's bench jewelers will then handcraft their perfect engagement ring, and each ring will be a one-of-a-kind. Looking for fine jewelry but having trouble choosing? Well, Blue Nile has jewelry experts on hand 24/7, available via phone or chat to help you find a memorable gift at every budget. So make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com, and Locked On Mariners listeners get $50 off purchases of $500 or more. This podcast exclusive includes engagement jewelry as well. Use promo code Locked On, that's LOCKEDON, plus every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. This episode of Locked On Mariners is also brought to you by Rock Auto. With the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you need. Why endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning like, is your Odyssey an LX or an EX, and wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer, choosing the only brand their warehouse happens to carry? You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket. So why choose to spend 30%, 50%, even 100% more for the same parts from a chain store or car dealership? For example, a Honda Odyssey fuel pump is $353 from a chain store, whereas with Rock Auto, it's only $216. Plus, Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years, and their prices are reliably low for every customer. Go to rockauto.com right after you're done listening to us and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Write Locked On in there, how did you hear about us box, so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. Jerry Dipoto needs to add an outfielder. Period. End of story. The Mariners cannot go on for the next couple weeks in this very, very crucial point in the season running some sort of outfield consisting of at least one of Justin Upton, Marcus Wilson, or Sam Haggerty, or Dylan Moore. Just can't have it. Just can't happen. This team has sustained too many injuries, and it doesn't have the depth necessary to survive those injuries. And yeah, like I said, Sam Haggerty has been pretty good. Every time that we've seen him this year, he puts the ball in play, makes contact. I would instead like to have that guy coming off of my bench, though, rather than starting every single day in left field. The only reason why I'm pounding the table for him to start every day is just because of what else you have on this roster. That's it. That's the only reason. The Mariners need to get better in the outfield right now. They've needed to get better in the outfield for a while. This is even before the Taylor Trammell injury. And if Jerry DiPoto says that this team is still competing, that he still believes in this team, and the Carlos Santana trade exhibits that, and it reinforces that stance 100%, then he needs to go out and get an outfielder today. Not tomorrow, not a week from now, not 2 weeks from now, not after the All-Star break. Right now. Needs to happen. The Mariners cannot sit idly by and waste more time, because they are going to start facing better teams and better pitching staffs. And as much as I like what Sam Haggerty has done here, and and all the praise that we've sung here for Sam Haggerty, having someone like him, having someone like Marcus Wilson, having someone like Dylan Moore in a lineup consistently against teams like the Padres and Blue Jays, that's not going to get it done, most likely. You're running a pretty severe risk of having a black hole in your lineup. So Jerry DiPoto has to get on the phone now and has to figure out something to get an outfielder. Frankly, I don't really care who it is, just someone that's an average major league bat at least, and a decent enough glove that isn't just an absolute liability in a corner spot. They need to do it, because Carlos Santana is just not enough. Colby, do you have any maybe outfielders in mind? Like, I personally like Michael A. Taylor. We've talked about that. We've talked a little bit about Garrett Cooper, but who do you like?
You're asking me if I've maybe thought about who the Mariners should trade for? Oh, what a rookie of you. Well, I guess we should start at the top of the list. Obviously, Ben Gamel.
Unfold the list and drops to the floor.
Pounding the table for. Yeah. Who I've only been pounding the table for 6 weeks now. Which, by the way, I was right about. Oh, shocking. But before we kind of, before we do the whole, like, look, we need to address something here, because it's pretty. Kyle Lewis is not an option in the outfield. He's not. It sounds like he might start his rehab assignment again soon. Woo, we have him back by the All-Star break. He's not an outfielder this year. So get that idea. Mitch Haniger is at least a month away. At least. And that's probably from a rehab stint. So maybe by August you get Mitch Haniger back. There is no, that doesn't exist, at least not until August. Get to that point. That's fantastic for the Mariners in there. So saying, well, they just wait for Mitch Haniger, they'll just wait. Neither are options, because if they wait, it's already too late. In terms of like players that they could go get, yeah, Michael A. Taylor makes a lot of sense. He's having a really good year this year. He's not as good as his numbers would suggest, but he's a good player, and he can certainly help you defensively. Teammate Andrew Benintendi is a guy who's already generating a lot of buzz, and we know obviously the Royals are looking to sell. Benintendi, he does a lot of the things that Jerry DiPoto likes in an offensive player, so he makes a lot of sense as well. I think Ian Happ is the guy. If you're looking for more of a, not a rental, you're looking for a multi-year guy, it could be him. Ian Happ makes a lot of sense. Some less sexy names who could still fit. Guys like Seth Brown, Oakland, which I know everybody's called their whatever, he helps, certainly helps. So yeah, there are outfielders available via trade, and I don't think you even need like an everyday guy. Can you go get a guy who hits right-handed pitching? This is just like roll with Dylan Moore there if I have to against the. But yeah, guys out there are going to be guys that make sense. And, honestly, there's probably going to be some guys who we didn't even picture as like a possibility that all of a sudden becomes available. I'll throw one out. Chas McCormick. I mean, we know the Astros and the Mariners aren't afraid to trade with each other. And McCormick would be helpful. And, Houston does have some needs. Particularly, maybe Seattle could help with that. So yeah, there are going to be guys available. On a really fun one, I'll just throw this out there because we talked about it on a Patreon show, Control the Zone, patreon.com/Control the Zone. Cody Bellinger, get adventurous here.
Yeah,
he would be kind of interesting. So yeah, so there are plenty of guys. Randall Grichuk. Again, you need a guy who. Good.
Yes, preferably.
It doesn't matter. He just has to be better than Sam Haggerty, better than Dylan Moore, better than Justin Upton, which shouldn't be too hard to find better than Justin Upton, but you never know. So it's not Jared Kelnick's guy. Mitch Haniger's not that guy for at least a month. And Kyle Lewis is not going to be that guy this year. Maybe it takes a little bit of time. Maybe, you know what? There's an article the other day about San Diego really looking to offload some payroll so that they can go out and be bigger players in the trade market. Could you maybe get them from them? If you take on, say, I don't know, Will Myers or whoever, take on one of those big contracts. Could you do that? Maybe. Possible. Victor Robles. Rex Grossman probably is available. I'll cringe at that, but Gallo could be interesting. There are a lot of guys who are out there that make a lot of. There are a lot that aren't going to cost a ton. There's probably going to be some sticker shock with any decent major league bat. You're going to be a little surprised at first, but basically all of them make sense. And I mean, I guess if you really wanted to go big, then I guess you just go out and you pay the freight to get Brian Reynolds, so long as you're not Julio, Kirby, or Gilbert. So, plenty of guys out there that you can go get.
All right. Well, on that note, and your internet is kind of telling us to sign off here. That's going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. For Colby Patnode, I'm Ty Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at LO_Mariners. You can follow Inside the Mariners at Inside Mariners. You can follow me at Dane Gonzalez. That's DANEGNZLZ. And Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. You can also find all that stuff in the description of this episode. And thank you again for making us your first listen of the day, just like you do here every day. Now make your second listen of the day Locked On MLB Prospects. That's where host Lindsey Crosby is a prospect encyclopedia. He's going deep on the MLB stars of tomorrow. It's free and available wherever you get podcasts, just like us. And with that, have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we will see you tomorrow. Peace.